The tall, blue-skinned alien queen Zara stood at her window, looking out at the 3 moons that circled her planet. Her long fingers with their 6 joints tapped against the crystal glass as she thought about the humans who had arrived on her world. Just 1 season ago, they were strange creatures, these humans, small and soft, with only 2 arms instead of 4. Their skin came in shades of brown and pink rather than the proper blue and purple of her people, and they were so emotional, always smiling, or frowning, or making loud sounds when they were happy. Yet they had brought interesting things with them. Technology that even her advanced civilization found impressive. Ideas that challenged the way her people had thought for 1,000 years. And most curious of all, a proposal of friendship. Zara turned as her chief advisor entered the royal chamber. The older female bowed low, her 4 arms crossed in the traditional gesture of respect. "The human ambassador has arrived, my queen," she said, her voice a musical series of clicks and whistles. Zara nodded and moved toward her throne. The grand meeting hall had been prepared with both the tall perches her people preferred and the short sitting platforms humans used. Her guards lined the walls, their armor gleaming under the light crystals. The doors slid open and the human delegation entered. The ambassador. Lisa walked at the front. She was taller than most humans, with skin the color of sand and hair that reminded Zara of the red desert flowers that bloomed after the rain season. With Lisa came 5 other humans. 3 wore the blue uniforms that marked them as military, while 2 were dressed in the simple gray clothes of scientists. Zara noticed one of the military humans, a male with eyes the color of the morning sky, watching the room carefully. His hand never strayed far from the weapon at his side. "Welcome to Xerix," Lisa said, bowing in the human way. "You honor us with your presence." The translator device on Lisa's collar converted her words into the high-pitched language of Zara's people. "The honor is mine." Ambassador Zara replied, rising to her full height, which was nearly 2 heads taller than the human female. "I trust your journey was comfortable." Lisa smiled, that strange stretching of lips that humans did. It had seemed threatening to Zara at first, but she had learned it was a sign of friendliness among their kind. "Very comfortable, Your Majesty," Lisa said. "Our scientists are eager to begin the knowledge exchange we discussed, and of course our security team is here to ensure everything goes smoothly." Zara looked at the military humans again. Her gaze lingered on the one with the sky-colored eyes. He stood differently than the others, more alert, more aware. He noticed her attention and nodded slightly, a gesture of respect that surprised her. Most humans were intimidated by direct eye contact with her species. "This is Commander Eric Wilson," Lisa said, following Zara's gaze. "He will be heading the security detail during our stay." Zara tilted her head, causing her jeweled antennae to catch the light. "You expect danger?" Ambassador Lisa hesitated. "We expect nothing but friendship, Your Majesty. But it is our way to be prepared, and there are always those who fear new alliances." This was true enough. Zara knew many of her own council had advised against meeting with the humans at all, let alone inviting them to the royal city. The other queens of the neighboring hives had sent messages of concern, warning that humans were known to be unpredictable and dangerous. Still, there was something about these creatures that fascinated her. Perhaps it was their short lives. Humans lived less than a century, while her people routinely saw 300 cycles. Yet they accomplished so much in that brief time, building, creating, exploring, never seeming to rest. The formal introductions continued, but Zara found her attention drawn repeatedly to Commander Eric. There was something different about him. She had met many humans in the past few months, but none had the same quiet intensity, the same watchful gaze. The diplomatic meeting ended with agreements for future discussions. Zara watched as the humans were escorted to their quarters in the east wing of the palace. Her chief advisor, Vex, remained behind. "You seem troubled by these humans, my queen," Vex said. "Not troubled," Zara replied. "Curious. They are so different from us, yet I sense a kindred spirit, especially in their commander." Vex made a low, whistling sound of warning. "Humans are clever and resourceful, but they are also dangerous. They fight wars among themselves. Their history is filled with violence. All young species have violent beginnings, Zara said. We too fought wars before the great unification. Vex bowed. That is true, my queen. But I would advise caution. The other queens are watching. They will see this alliance as your project. If it fails, it will weaken your position. In the council, Zara knew Vex spoke the truth. As the youngest queen to ascend to rule in 500 cycles, her position was already viewed with suspicion by the older monarchs. They waited for her to make a mistake to prove herself unworthy of the crown. I will be careful, Vex, she promised. But I believe there is much we can learn from these humans. And perhaps much they can learn from us. That night, as the 3 moons reached their highest point, Zara walked in her private garden. The night-blooming flowers released their sweet scent into the air, their petals glowing with natural bioluminescence. She came here often to think away from the demands of court and counsel. A movement in the shadows caught her attention. She froze her hand, moving to the small defense weapon hidden in the folds of her robes. Do not be alarmed, Your Majesty, a voice said. Commander Eric stepped into the moonlight. Zara relaxed, but only slightly. How did you get into my private garden? Human guards are supposed to be restricted to the East Wing. Eric bowed. I was doing a security sweep, Your Majesty, standard protocol. We found a weakness in your palace defenses. I came to inform your security chief, but saw you here. Zara studied him. You move very quietly for a human. Eric smiled slightly. I was trained to many on my world would consider your gardens perfect for an ambush, beautiful but with many places to hide. Zara felt her secondary heart beat faster at the implied threat. Are you threatening me? Commander. Eric looked surprised. No. Your Majesty. I am trying to protect you. My job is to ensure the safety of both the human delegation and our hosts. If I found this security weakness, others might as well. Zara considered this. Human directness was both refreshing and disturbing after centuries of court politics, where words had 17 meanings and the truth was rarely spoken. Plainly. Show me this weakness, she said finally. Eric looked surprised but nodded. He led her to the far wall where the moonflowers climbed toward the sky. Their thick vines created a living ladder almost to the top of the wall. Determined climber could scale this wall using these vines, he explained. And the sensor grid has a blind spot here. He pointed to a section where 2 security fields overlapped incorrectly, creating a gap. Zara clicked her mandibles in annoyance. Her security chief would be disciplined for this oversight. Such a basic error was unacceptable. I will have this fixed immediately. Thank you, Commander. Eric nodded. Your world is beautiful, Your Majesty, but beauty sometimes hides danger. That is true everywhere. Not just on Zarek. Zara was struck again by the strangeness of humans. They lived such short lives, yet accumulated wisdom that sometimes matched her much older advisors. And this one seemed particularly observant. You see much for a visitor. Commander, Eric shrugged slightly. It is my job to see what others miss. Over the next several days, Zara found herself seeking out the human commander's company. His insights about her palace security proved valuable, and he seemed less intimidated by her royal status than even her own people. His directness was like a fresh breeze in the stagnant air of court politics. The knowledge exchange between the human scientists and her own scholars proceeded. While the humans shared their advances in medicine and energy generation, while her people offered insights into crystal technology and long-term space travel. But tensions remained. Several of her council members openly questioned the wisdom of sharing knowledge with a species so young and unpredictable, and messages arrived daily from the other queens expressing concern about humans being allowed so close to the royal compound. Zara ignored them. She had seen something in these humans, a spirit of innovation and adaptation that her own people had lost over their long, peaceful existence. Perhaps this alliance would benefit her world in ways beyond mere technology. One evening, as she reviewed reports in her chamber, a soft alarm sounded. Palace security system had detected an intruder. Not in the human quarters as some of her advisors had feared, but in the sacred temple of memories, where the records of all queens were kept. Guards surrounded the temple, but the intruder had vanished, taking with them something precious, the ancient crystal that contained the memories of the first queen, the foundation of all their history and law. Without it, the upcoming ceremony of remembrance could not be performed. A ceremony essential to Zara's continued rule. The theft threatened everything, not just the alliance with humans, but the stability of her reign itself, and suspicion immediately fell upon the newcomers. Who else would dare such sacrilege? Who else would even know the value? Of the Crystal Commander, Eric was summoned to the throne room where an angry Zara waited surrounded by her guards and advisors. "Did your people take our sacred crystal?" She demanded, her usual calm, shattered by the violation. Eric stood straight, his face serious. "I know nothing of any theft, Your Majesty. No human would do this. We came in peace." Vex made an angry clicking sound. How convenient that the royal guard searched the human quarters, finding nothing. The ambassador Lisa protested the intrusion but understood the severity of the situation. Eric meanwhile requested permission to conduct his own investigation. "Let me help you find the real thief," he told Zara when they met in her private council chamber. "I have training in this kind of work," Vex objected immediately. "Why would we trust a human to investigate? This could easily be a distraction while they plan something worse." Eric remained calm. "This alliance matters to Earth as much as it does to your people. Your Majesty, we have no reason to jeopardize it. If humans are responsible, I will find out, but I suspect we are being manipulated. Someone wants to drive a wedge between our worlds." Zara studied the human commander. She had come to respect his judgment over the past days. His strange alien face was harder to read than her own people's, but she sensed sincerity in his eyes. "You have until the ceremony," she decided, ignoring Vex's hiss of disapproval. 3 days, Commander. Find my crystal or relations between our worlds will suffer." Eric bowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will need access to your security systems and permission to question your staff." Zara agreed, though many on her council protested. She watched as the human began his work, methodical and focused. He reviewed the palace security recordings, speaking with guards and servants, asking questions that seemed strange, but revealed much about the inner workings of the royal household. On the second day, Eric requested to speak with Zara alone. Vex objected, but the queen overruled her. The two met in the royal garden, where the moonflowers were now closed in the daylight. "Your security recordings have been altered, Your Majesty," Eric said without preamble. Someone with high clearance deleted footage from the time of the theft. Zara felt her antennae stiffen in shock. Only council members had such access. The betrayal must come from within her inner circle. "There is more," Eric continued. "I found traces of crystal dust in an unexpected place. Not in the human quarters, but in the workshop of your royal jeweler. The royal jeweler Mix had served the palace for over a century, crafting the ceremonial decorations. Worn by the queens, he had created Zara's own coronation crown. Why would Mix steal the crystal?" Zara wondered aloud. "He has always been loyal." Eric shook his head. "I don't believe he is the actual thief, but someone used his workshop. He may be involved, or simply unaware." "Check his recent visitors." Zara sent guards to bring Mix for questioning. The elderly craftsman trembled before her, his 4 hands wringing nervously. "I have done nothing wrong, my queen," he insisted, but then hesitated, looking down. "I did allow someone to use my workshop 3 nights ago. A council member who said they needed to repair a ceremonial piece in private." "Which council member?" Zara demanded. Mix looked even more distressed. "Councillor Drez, Your Majesty." She said it was a surprise for you. "A special gift." Zara and Eric exchanged glances. Councillor Drez had been the most vocal opponent of the human alliance, claiming their presence threatened ancient traditions. "We need to find Drez," Eric said, "but carefully. If she is behind this, she must still have the crystal." Zara nodded. "We must proceed with caution. If word spreads that a council member is suspected of treason, it could destabilize the court." They developed a plan. Zara would call a special council meeting announcing that new evidence had been discovered pointing to the humans' innocence, without revealing their suspicions about Drez. This would force the real thief to act, either to hide the crystal better or attempt to move it. The council members gathered, some Looking relieved at the news, others skeptical. Dres sat stiffly, her antennae flat against her head, a sign of tension among Zara's people. While the meeting proceeded, Eric and a small team of trusted guards searched Dres' quarters. They found nothing. Then one of the guards suggested checking her private transport vehicle. There, hidden in a secret compartment, they discovered the crystal. Its blue surface pulsed with stored memories, the collective wisdom of all previous queens Eric carefully secured. It then sent word to Zara. The queen smoothly concluded the council meeting while guards discreetly positioned themselves to prevent Dres' escape. When confronted with the evidence, Dres did not deny her actions. "I did what was necessary to protect our world from alien influence," she declared. "These humans will destroy our way of life with their ideas and technology. The alliance must fail." Zara felt sadness rather than anger. Dres had served the court for decades, her loyalty never questioned. Until now, the fear of change had corrupted her judgment. Turning devotion into betrayal, Dres was taken into custody. The crystal returned to the temple. The ceremony could proceed as planned, saving Zara's reign from a potentially devastating blow. At night, she summoned Eric to thank him. His quick work and unfamiliar investigative methods had succeeded where her own security force might have failed. "You have done my world a great service, Commander," she told him. "We would have blamed your people, destroying any chance of alliance." Eric bowed. "I only found the truth, Your Majesty. That is what both our peoples need if we are to build trust." Zara studied him, curious again about this human who seemed different from the others. "Why did you help us so diligently? A failed alliance would not have harmed your career. You could have returned to Earth." Eric considered her question. "I believe in what we can accomplish together, Your Majesty. My world needs friends, not enemies in the stars." And he hesitated. "I have come to respect you and your people. I would not see that respect wasted over a lie." The honesty of his answer surprised her. Such directness was rare in her court, where words were carefully measured and true feelings hidden. The humans refreshing. Clarity continued to intrigue her. The ceremony of remembrance took place as scheduled. Zara stood before her people, the ancient crystal glowing in her 4 hands as she absorbed the memories and wisdom of all queens who had ruled before her. Humans attended as honored guests, watching with fascination as the crystal pulsed with light, transferring knowledge directly into Zara's mind. When it was complete, she emerged changed. Centuries of experience now lived within her, enhancing her own judgment. She saw the path forward more clearly now, understanding both the risks and potential of the human alliance. A feast followed the ceremony, a rare occasion where formality relaxed slightly, allowing freer interaction between species. The human scientists talked excitedly with her scholars, comparing notes and sharing ideas. The barriers between them seemed thinner after the shared crisis. Zara found Eric standing alone, watching the gathering. His alert posture never fully relaxed, even in celebration. "You do not join the festivities, Commander," she observed, approaching him. Eric smiled slightly. "I enjoy watching Your Majesty. There is much to learn about your people and how they celebrate." Zara nodded. "The same is true of humans, I notice. Your ambassador dances while your scientists talk constantly, but you stand apart. Why is that?" Eric looked thoughtful. "Different training, Your Majesty. Different purpose. I am here to watch for danger. They are here to build connections." A simple answer, yet it revealed much about human specialization, each with their defined role working together as a whole, not unlike her own hive society. Perhaps their peoples were more similar than they appeared on the surface. "Come," she said, making a decision. "I would show you something few outsiders have seen." Eric followed her, curious, as she led him through private corridors to a secluded part of the palace. Few guards patrolled here, and those who did bowed deeply as she passed. They entered a chamber. Unlike any other in the palace, its walls were not the typical crystal but rough natural stone. The floor descended in steps toward a pool of glowing blue liquid. "This is the first pool, Eric," she explained. "The place where my species first achieved consciousness. The sacred waters that transformed us from simple hive creatures into thinking beings." Eric looked at the pool with wonder. This is your origin place, in a way, Zara said. The legends say our first queen came to these waters as a simple drone but left as something more. The chemicals in this pool triggered changes in her brain, allowing for higher thought. The gift was passed to her offspring, and eventually to all our kind. Eric approached the edge of the pool respectfully. May I ask why you show me this? Zara moved beside him. The crystal memories showed me something important. Commander. The past queens agree that isolation leads to stagnation. For 10,000 years, we have kept to ourselves, growing inward rather than outward. It has made us vulnerable, not strong. She gestured to the pool. For centuries, we have guarded this place as a secret, fearing others would use it against us. But the wisdom of the queens suggests another path. Trust carefully chosen. Truth shared strengthens. Both parties, Eric nodded, understanding the significance of what she offered. You honor me with this knowledge, Your Majesty. I will protect it. Their eyes met across the glowing water, alien to each other, yet finding common ground. The moment stretched between them, creating an unexpected connection. A distant alarm shattered the silence. Eric tensed immediately, his hand going to his weapon. Something is wrong, he said, all personal warmth vanishing behind professional concern. Zara felt it too, a disturbance in the palace security net. She touched the communication panel on the wall, speaking rapidly in her own language. The response made her antennae flatten against her skull. We must return to the main palace, she said. Ships have entered our atmosphere. Without authorization, they do not respond to hails. The command center buzzed with activity as Zara and her advisors assessed the Krell threat. The elegant crystal walls displayed tactical information showing the position of enemy forces. Their dark ships hovered over the outer districts of the royal city while ground troops advanced through the streets. Eric studied the displays, his military training immediately recognizing the Krell strategy. They are creating a perimeter, he observed, cutting off the palace district from the rest of the city's standard isolation tactic. Zara nodded, her antennae twitching with concern. They seek to separate us from our people and reinforcements. But why now? The Krell have raided our outer colonies, but never dared strike at the homeworld. A senior military advisor Traz approached, bowing quickly. My queen, our defensive systems are activating, but they were designed for deterrence, not full-scale warfare. Many have never been used outside of training simulations. This concerned Eric. Your forces lack combat experience. Traz clicked his mandibles in reluctant agreement. It has been 3 generations since our last conflict. The knowledge exists in our military archives, but few have practical experience. Lisa, the human ambassador, joined them, bringing news. From Earth, I have contacted our government, she said. They are dispatching a rapid response fleet, but it will take at least 12 hours to reach your system. 12 hours, Zara repeated. The palace defenses can hold that long, but the outer city, many civilians are at risk. Eric turned to the tactical display, again studying the Krell movement pattern. Something about their approach bothered him. They were advancing methodically but avoiding certain areas of the city. Why do they bypass these districts? He asked, pointing to several locations. Zara looked closely. These are our most ancient areas, the oldest structures and temples. Eric frowned. If I were leading this invasion, those would be prime defensive positions. Why ignore them unless they have another objective? Zara realized, following his thinking. Not conquest alone. They seek something specific. The crystal, Eric suggested. The one that was just returned. Perhaps they learned of its importance. The timing cannot be coincidence. Zara felt a chill run through her 6 limbs. The crystal contained not just cultural memories but detailed knowledge of her species, including biological information, defense codes, technological secrets. If the Krell obtained it, they would gain far more than territory. We must protect the temple at all costs, she declared. As if in response to her words, alarms blared. A new alert flashed on the displays. A Krell strike team had been detected approaching the Temple of Memories. They were making a direct assault, while the main forces served as distraction. Your Majesty, we must move the crystal to a secure location, Vex urged. It is too vulnerable in the temple. Eric agreed. We need a small team. The Krell will expect heavy guards around any official transport, but a few individuals moving quietly might slip through their perimeter. Zara considered this plan. It was risky but necessary. I will go, she announced. I am connected to the crystal after the ceremony. It will respond to me. Her advisors immediately protested. Too dangerous. They insisted the Queen could not be risked, but Eric understood. Sometimes leadership required direct action, not delegation, and the Queen's connection to the crystal might prove essential. I will accompany you, he said. My team is trained for extraction operations. We can get you to the temple and back. Despite continued objections from her council, Zara approved the plan. She changed from her ceremonial robes into more practical armor. Her tall blue form still regal but now prepared for combat. Eric gathered 3 of his most experienced security personnel. They would use a maintenance tunnel network beneath the palace to reach the temple, avoiding the main streets where Krell forces patrolled. Before departing, Eric received a communication from Lisa. Earth forces were mobilizing faster than expected. A special operations team already in a nearby system had been redirected to assist. They would arrive within 4 hours. Still too long, but better than 12. The small group entered the ancient tunnels guided by palace maps. The passages were narrow, designed for maintenance drones, rather than the tall forms of Zara's people, or even humans. They moved in silence. Eric, leading with Zara close behind his human security team, guarded their flanks while 2 of Zara's most trusted guards brought up the rear. The tunnels vibrated occasionally as explosions rocked the city above Krell forces, and palace defenders were engaged in battle throughout their journey. Eric observed Zara. Her composure remained steady despite the crisis. Her forearms moved with fluid grace even in the cramped space. He had worked with many leaders during his military career, but few showed such calm resolve under pressure. They emerged several blocks from the temple in an abandoned building. The streets outside were eerily quiet. This sector had been evacuated when the attack began. Eric used a small drone to scout ahead. The temple stood intact, but Krell soldiers surrounded it, their armored forms tall and insectoid like Zara's people, but with darker exoskeletons and more aggressive postures. They have not entered yet, Zara observed. Why wait? Eric studied their formation. They appear to be waiting for something specific, perhaps a specialist or equipment to breach the temple defenses. This gives us a small window of opportunity, one of the human security officers suggested. We could use the buildings across from the temple approach from the rear. The team moved carefully through abandoned structures. The architecture of Zara's city favored tall crystalline towers connected by elevated walkways. They used these connections staying above street level to avoid Krell patrols. From their elevated position they could see more of the city. The beautiful crystal spires now reflected the fires of battle. Krell ships maintained position forming a blockade, while ground forces secured key locations. Finally, they reached a building directly behind the temple. Only a short, open area separated them from their goal. Eric surveyed the approach. 4 Krell guards at the rear entrance. No heavy weapons visible. Appears to be a containment team, not an assault force. Zara focused on the temple, reaching out with her mind. The crystal responded to her, a faint resonance that confirmed it remained inside and intact. The Queen's connection to it acted as a locator, a biological security system that the Krell could not duplicate. We need a distraction, Eric said. Something to draw the guards away from that entrance. One of the human security officers named Kelly produced a small device from her pack, Sonic Disruptor. She explained, works particularly well on beings with exoskeletons, creates painful vibrations without causing permanent damage. Eric nodded. Place it on the opposite side. Give it 30 seconds, then activate it. That should draw them away long enough for us to reach the door. The plan worked perfectly. When the device activated, the Krell guards moved to investigate the painful sounds. The team rushed across the open space. Zara placed her hand on the temple door lock. The ancient mechanism recognized her royal signature and opened. Inside the temple was a sanctuary of knowledge. Crystal shelves contained records dating back thousands of years. The main chamber rose several stories high, its ceiling a dome of multicolored crystal that usually filtered sunlight into rainbow patterns. Now it admitted only the harsh flashes of weapons fire from the battle outside. A memory crystal sat on its pedestal in the center chamber, glowing with stored knowledge. The team moved toward it, but as they reached the central room, a new alarm sounded. The Krell have breached the main entrance. Eric warned they know we're here. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the temple halls. Krell soldiers were inside now, searching systematically. Zara's guard commander moved to secure the doorway while Eric assessed their options. The crystal must be moved. Now he said, "We cannot." Wait, Zara approached the pedestal. Her four hands gently lifted the crystal, which pulsed brighter at her touch, recognizing its keeper. She placed it in a specialized container designed to shield its energy signature. Multiple Krell appeared at the chamber entrance. Their weapons raised. The guard commander fired, forcing them back temporarily, but more would come. "We need another exit," Eric said. Looking around, the temple appeared to have only two main doors, both likely watched by Krell forces. Zara moved to a sidewall, pressing her hand against a specific crystal panel. "There is another way," she said, "for emergencies only." The wall shifted, revealing a hidden passage. An escape route known only to the queens and their most trusted advisors. They entered the secret tunnel as weapons fire erupted behind them. One of Zara's guards fell, hit multiple times by Krell weapons. The remaining guards sealed the passage, buying them time to escape. The tunnel led deep beneath the temple, connecting to a different part of the maintenance network. This passage was larger, designed for emergency evacuation. They moved quickly, hearing the sounds of pursuit fade behind them. "Where does this lead?" Eric asked, as they navigated the dimly lit passage. "To the ancient catacombs," Zara replied. "The oldest part of the city. Where the first queens were laid to rest, a sacred place few now remember." They emerged in a vast underground chamber. Unlike the crystal architecture above, these structures were carved from natural stone. Massive pillars supported a ceiling lost in shadows. Ancient symbols covered the walls, depicting the early history of Zara's species. "We should be safe here temporarily," Zara said. "The catacombs extend for miles beneath the city. Even the Krell will struggle to find us in this labyrinth." The deeper they ventured into the catacombs, the more ancient the surroundings became. Natural stone replaced carved walls. Passages narrowed, then widened into vast caverns filled with crystal formations that hummed with faint energy. The air grew, warmer with mineral scents that tickled Eric's nose. "How much further?" Zara Kelly asked, checking her scanner for signs of pursuit. "Not far now," Zara replied. Her antennae glowed softly, illuminating the path ahead. "We approach the sacred waters." The birthplace. Eric noticed changes in the rock beneath their feet. Veins of luminescent blue mineral ran through the stone, growing more numerous as they continued. The same substance that formed the pool he had seen earlier. They entered a massive cavern, unlike any before, a natural cathedral, its ceiling lost in darkness. Above them, crystal formations hung like frozen waterfalls, catching and amplifying the blue light from below. At the center of the cavern lay a vast pool, larger than the one Zara had shown Eric earlier. Its surface rippled, though no wind touched it. The liquid glowed with intense blue light, casting eerie shadows. "This is the first pool," Zara said, her voice hushed with reverence, "where consciousness first came to our species. The original, not the ceremonial one in the palace." She approached the edge of the pool, gazing into its depths. The liquid seemed to respond to her presence, ripples moving toward her as if drawn by some unseen force. "The weapon chamber lies beneath the pool," Lee explained. "According to the crystal memories, there is an entrance." Eric surveyed the cavern. There were no obvious doors or passages leading downward. "How do we access it?" Zara placed the container holding the memory crystal on a flat stone near the pool edge. Then she removed her armor. Her blue skin shimmered in the pool's light, revealing intricate patterns that humans could not normally see. "I must enter the waters," she said. "The entrance responds only to a queen's biosignature, but I will need help." "The currents are strong," Eric understood immediately. He removed his tactical gear, keeping only essential equipment in waterproof pouches. The other humans followed his example, preparing to assist. "The pool looks calm," Kelly observed. "But you say, there are currents. They flow beneath the surface," Zara explained, drawing down to the chamber below. "Many who have tried to enter unauthorized have been pulled under, never to return." Another defense mechanism before Eric could respond. A distant noise echoed through the cavern. The sound of weapons fire followed by alien voices. The Krell had found another entrance to the catacombs. They were approaching. "We need to hurry," Eric said. "Kelly, guard our position with Ryan. Notify me immediately if they get close." The security officers took defensive positions while Eric prepared to enter the pool with Zara. She stood at the water's edge, her forearms extended for balance, then stepped into the glowing liquid. It reached her knees, then her waist. The pool was deeper than it appeared. Eric followed. The liquid felt strange against his skin, warmer than water with an almost gel-like consistency. It seemed to tingle against his skin as if examining him at a molecular level. Zara moved deeper. Then suddenly, the calm surface changed. Currents appeared swirling around them. A whirlpool formed, pulling them toward the center. Zara reached out with two of her arms, grabbing Eric to keep him close as the current strengthened. "Hold on to me," she instructed. "We must go with the flow, not fight it." They were pulled under the surface. The liquid glowed all around them, illuminating the depths. Eric felt pressure in his ears as they descended rapidly. His training kicked in. He controlled his breathing, conserving air. The liquid surprisingly allowed him to breathe, a property he hadn't expected. They were drawn through a narrow tunnel, the current propelling them downward. Then suddenly, they were pushed upward, breaking through another surface into air again. Emerged in a small chamber, a perfectly circular room with walls of the same blue crystal that formed the memory storage devices. Eric pulled himself onto a ledge, then helped Zara from the liquid. Their skin and clothes dripped with glowing droplets that slowly faded. "We made it," Zara said. The chamber was simple, containing only a raised platform in the center. Upon it sat a small crystalline object, shaped like a star, with 8 points each, a different color. The object pulsed with energy. Ancient, yet somehow alive. "Is that the weapon?" Eric asked. "It seems small." Zara approached it cautiously. "Size can be deceiving, Commander." She extended her hands, hovering them above the crystal star without touching it. "This controls a network spread throughout our star system. Satellites and stations placed in specific positions, energy collectors and amplifiers, individually harmless, together capable of focusing enough power to destroy a planet or to create a defense shield impenetrable to any known weapon." She closed her eyes, connecting with the device as she had with the memory crystal. Information flowed into her mind. Technical specifications, activation sequences, safety protocols, the knowledge of generations of queens who had maintained the secret. "It still functions," she said with surprise. "After all this time, the network remains operational, dormant, but intact." Above them they heard weapons fire growing closer. Kelly's voice came through Eric's communication device. "They found us, Commander. Multiple Krell forces converging on our position. We can't hold them long." Eric looked at Zara. "We need to activate this now." "Whatever it can do to help us," Zara nodded, but her expression was troubled. "The weapon has multiple settings, defense and offense. The defense mode creates a planetary shield, but it requires time to charge fully. Several hours at minimum. And offense mode?" he asked. "That is immediate," she said, "but destructive. It would target the Krell ships in orbit, vaporizing them. But the energy discharge could have unforeseen consequences. Damage to our atmosphere, our cities, civilian casualties. A difficult choice. Protection that came too late or destruction that came at great cost. Can you activate defense mode?" Now Eric suggested. "Get it charging while we deal with the immediate threat." Zara placed her 4 hands on specific points of the star crystal. Her antennae glowed brightly as she interfaced with the ancient technology, speaking words in a language even older than her people's common tongue. The star began to pulse, its colors shifting in complex patterns. "It is done," she said. The defense network is awakening, but we cannot remain here. The Krell will breach the chamber soon. They needed to return through the pool. But the currents would be against them now. The natural flow pulled downward, not up. There is another exit, Zara said, moving to the far wall. A maintenance shaft created for the original engineers. It will be narrow. She pressed her hand against a section of wall, revealing a hidden door. Beyond lay a vertical shaft with rudimentary handholds carved into the rock. A service tunnel, tight and uncomfortable, but potentially their only escape route. Eric contacted his team. Kelly, Ryan, abandon your position. Use the north passage. I marked on your map. We will meet you at the secondary rendezvous point. He helped Zara into the shaft, then followed, climbing upward. The passage was barely wide enough for humans and a tight squeeze for Zara's larger form. Her forearms proved advantageous, however, allowing her to climb quickly despite the cramped space. They ascended for what felt like hours. The shaft occasionally branched into horizontal passages, but Zara chose their path with confidence, guided by information from the crystal memories. Eventually they emerged in another part of the catacombs, far from where they had entered the pool. According to my readings, we are beneath the old city, Zara said, near the ancient temple. Ruins. Eric checked his communication device. Kelly and Ryan had reached the rendezvous point safely. Meanwhile, the battle continued above. The Krell maintained control of much of the city, but palace forces had established defensive lines protecting key districts. Ambassador Lisa provided an update. Earth forces would arrive within an hour. Reports indicated the Krell were becoming increasingly aggressive, searching frantically for the Queen and the crystal. Their initial methodical approach had given way to urgency. They know we found the weapon, Eric realized. They are running out of time. He and Zara navigated the final passages of the catacombs, emerging in the basement of an ancient building. The structure above had once been a temple, but now served as a museum, preserving artifacts from Zara's early civilization. They moved cautiously through the building. The sounds of battle were closer here. The upper floors offered views of the surrounding city. Krell ships patrolled the skies while ground forces engaged with palace defenders. Several districts burned, the beautiful crystal towers cracked and broken. It is strange, Zara said, watching her city under attack. For generations we believed our technological advancement protected us. We grew complacent. The knowledge of war faded from common memory, preserved only in the crystal and in our military archives, which few studied. Eric understood. The price of long peace was sometimes unpreparedness. The human experience had been different. Shorter-lived but filled with conflict. Their species had never known the extended peace Zara's people had enjoyed. They rendezvoused with Kelly and Ryan in an abandoned communication center. The humans had established a defensive perimeter and made contact with Earth forces. The first ships would arrive, within minutes, not hours. A special forces team had pushed their engines beyond safety limits to reach the planet sooner. Ambassador Lisa established video communication. Her face appeared on a screen, looking concerned but determined. The palace holds Queen Zara, but the Krell have landed reinforcements. They seem desperate to find you. Eric moved through the Crystal City ruins with practiced efficiency, Kelly and Ryan flanking him. The decoy crystal fragment pulsed in its container, emitting the signature that would attract Krell forces. They used the damaged buildings as cover, navigating streets now unfamiliar due to destruction. It didn't take long for the plan to work. Krell patrols changed course, converging on their position. Alien ships altered their search pattern, focusing on the sector where Eric and his team moved. We have their attention. Ryan confirmed, monitoring enemy communications through a captured Krell device. Their command is redirecting forces from the palace. Good, Eric said. Now we need to keep them busy without getting caught. They implemented evasion protocols developed during Earth conflicts, moving unpredictably, using underground passages when possible, appearing briefly, then disappearing. The Krell forces grew increasingly frustrated, chasing energy readings that vanished only to reappear elsewhere. Meanwhile, at the communication center, Zara and Captain Morgan monitored the defense system activation. The interface showed progress as energy built within the ancient network. The countdown displayed in alien numerals, gradually approaching. The activation threshold. Your commander takes great risks for a world not his own, Captain Morgan observed. Zara watched the tactical display tracking Eric's movement through the city. Such loyalty is rare, she agreed. Even among my own people, the human. Captain studied the alien queen. Your species and mine are not so different. Your Majesty, we both value courage and sacrifice. Zara considered this. Perhaps that is why this alliance may succeed where others have failed. Our differences are obvious, but our core values align. On the streets, Eric and his team continued their dangerous distraction. As planned, the Krell committed more forces to their pursuit, the pressure increasing with each passing minute. They narrowly escaped capture several times using the city's architecture and Eric's tactical knowledge to stay ahead of superior numbers. But their luck could not hold forever. A Krell patrol spotted them as they crossed an exposed area between buildings. Energy weapons fired, shattering crystal walls around them. Kelly took a glancing hit to her arm but remained operational. They ducked into a partially collapsed building. Heart rates elevated. Ryan checked the wound, applying emergency treatment. They're getting closer, he warned. The search pattern is tightening. Eric consulted his tactical display. The defense system needed just 15 more minutes to reach activation threshold. 15 minutes they might not have. A Krell ship hovered directly overhead, its sensors scanning for their position. The decoy crystal was becoming harder to shield. The building's crystalline structure amplified rather than blocked its signature. We need to split up, Eric decided. The crystal signature can be detected through almost anything, but they can't chase all of us. Kelly and Ryan protested, but Eric was firm. Take different routes toward the palace, he instructed. Draw some of them away. I will make for the ancient temple district. Their architecture contains natural interference that might give me an advantage. The team separated, each taking a different path. Kelly and Ryan creating deliberate distractions to pull Krell forces in multiple directions. Eric, meanwhile, carried the decoy crystal toward the oldest part of the city where the first buildings had been constructed millennia ago. The ancient district stood in stark contrast to the modern crystal towers. Its structures were shorter, made of stone, and first-generation crystal technology. The narrow, winding streets formed a natural maze. Difficult to navigate but offering countless hiding places. Eric ducked into a small shrine as Krell forces marched past their insectoid forms, scanning doorways with handheld devices. He held his breath until they passed, then continued, deeper into the district. The energy signature from the decoy pulsed stronger now, almost as if it was responding to something in this area. He checked his communication device. Captain Morgan reported the defense system had reached 80%. Power 10. More minutes needed. The Krell commander had recalled ships to orbital positions, perhaps sensing something was happening. Eric found himself in a circular plaza. At its center stood a statue, ancient and weathered. It depicted a Varix female, with 4 arms raised toward the sky. The first queen, according to the inscriptions at its base. As he passed the statue, something unexpected happened. The decoy crystal flared with energy, its light synchronizing with subtle illumination from the statue itself. The stones around the plaza began to glow, revealing patterns invisible to normal sight. The defense system, Eric realized, it wasn't just satellites and stations. The entire city was part of it. The oldest structures formed a network, ground-based component of the ancient weapon. These buildings were receivers and amplifiers, hidden in plain sight for millennia. His realization came too late. A Krell strike team had tracked him to the plaza. They approached from all sides. Weapons ready. Their commander stepped forward. A larger insectoid with ornate armor and multiple battle scars, surrender human. The creature spoke through a translation device. The crystal belongs to us. Eric stood before the statue. The decoy held tightly. Think you misunderstand, Eric replied. This isn't yours, it never was. The Krell commander chittered something to his soldiers. They raised their weapons. The human was cornered, outnumbered, but Eric had one advantage. Knowledge of what was about to happen. The ancient weapon is activating, he told the Krell commander. You have minutes, perhaps less, to leave this system. The commander made a sound that might have been laughter. Your deception fails human. Our scientists have calculated. The weapon cannot be ready, yet you seek to delay us. Nothing more. Eric shrugged. In about 3 minutes, you'll discover how wrong they are. The Krell commander stepped closer. If the weapon activates, we will destroy this world before its shield completes. Our ships stand. Ready a bluff. Eric wondered. Or desperate truth. Either way, he needed more time. Tell me, Eric said, why does your species want this technology so badly? Why risk war? The commander studied Eric through compound eyes. Your kind would not understand. Human, you are too young to see the greater threats that wait between the stars. There are predators beyond your comprehension. Forces that will consume us all unless we have the means to fight. For the first time, Eric heard something beyond aggression in the alien voice. Fear. Perhaps even desperation. What forces, Eric asked. What predators? The Krell commander chittered. The Void Eaters. The ones who consume stars. The ancient enemy. That is all you need to know, and all you will ever know. He raised his weapon. Eric tensed, prepared for the end. A blinding light erupted from the statue behind him. The plaza illuminated with energy that spiraled upward. The decoy crystal in Eric's hand shattered its fragments, drawn to the statue, which now glowed with internal fire. Above them, the sky changed color, rippling across the atmosphere. A dome of energy visible even in daylight, spreading from horizon to horizon. The defense shield was activating early. The ancient weapon responding to some trigger Eric didn't understand. The Krell commander screamed orders. His soldiers fired, but their weapons' energy dissipated harmlessly against the shield now forming around Eric. The statue, the plaza, the entire district was part of the weapon's primary node. Protecting itself as it activated. From his position, Eric witnessed the shield's completion. A translucent dome encasing the entire planet. Energy patterns flowing across its surface like liquid crystal. Beautiful and terrifying in its power. His communication. Device activated. Captain Morgan's voice urgent and confused. The weapon activated ahead of schedule. Something triggered the emergency protocol. We're not sure what happened. Eric looked at the statue, still glowing with internal light. I think I found another control node, he said. The oldest one. The original Zara joined the communication, a secondary activation point. The crystal memories mentioned it, only to be used in dire emergency. When both Crystal and Blood Royal were threatened simultaneously, the Krell commander watched the shield complete its formation, his soldiers backing away uncertainly. Their weapons useless now. You have lost. Eric told him. Your invasion has failed. The alien commander lowered his weapon slowly. Your victory is temporary. Human, tell your queen that what comes next will make our invasion seem like a blessing. With those cryptic words, the Krell soldiers activated transport devices, disappearing in flashes of energy. Retreating to their ships, in orbit the Krell fleet faced a dilemma. The planetary shield prevented any attack on the surface, but they still outnumbered the Earth vessels. Their superior firepower could destroy the human ships before retreating. Eric watched through tactical feeds as the situation developed. Space combat initiated the Earth vessels, though. Outnumbered, demonstrated superior maneuverability, using the planetary shield as cover, striking then retreating. The Krell ships, firing massive energy weapons that dissipated harmlessly against the ancient defense system. Then reinforcements arrived. The main Earth fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel, their ships forming a battle line that cut off the Krell retreat path. The Krell commander faced annihilation or surrender. He chose the latter. The invasion force stood down, their weapons powered down, ship systems placed in neutral configuration on the planet's surface. Eric made his way back through the city. The destruction was extensive, but the shield had prevented the final devastating attack that might have reduced everything to rubble. Palace forces reclaimed districts street by street, assisted by Earth Marines who had landed once the shield stabilized.